Hi everyone. An issue in Google Sites is that there isn't any native functionality that allows you to create a bilingual website or a website that is in more than one language. So currently I'm not aware of any solution by Google, although I hope that there will be one in the future. And the one way to work around this is to simply create two or more sections, one for each language that you would like your website to have. And in this short video, I'll show you how I did this. So this is a preview of the Google site. And basically the workaround I'm using, you can see it in the pages section. My user interface is in Bulgarian, but you should be able to find the pages section here as well, where you see my mouse cursor. Well, so basically, you need to have a home page. They don't let you not have one. So you always end up with a landing page that will appear here. And then to have your website in more than one language, you just create sections for each language. And these are sections in the menu. So in pages, you can see the sections icon here, new section in menu. That's what the text would read. You give it a name. For example, let's add a third language, Portuguese. And of course, you can sort them. You can order them, right, the way you like by dragging and dropping. And currently, for Portuguese, there are no sub items. Well, you can just add them using the three dots, then add a sub page. You can say, and now you see the arrow appears, and it looks quite neat actually. As you can see, the sub menu looks quite neat. Now, of course, if you add too many languages in the menu, too many language menus or sections, it starts looking overcrowded, kind of. So aesthetically, perhaps it's best not to have more than 2 or 3 language sections. Then you can even add sub-pages to your sub-pages, if that's necessary. For instance, company history. Now you see how this works. And the basic idea here is that you can edit each one of the pages in your language sections and add text that is in that language. So, well, that's perhaps a bit of too much work to do. But imagine that you already have the layout for one of the languages, then you can just copy it and paste it into the corresponding page for a different language and just edit the text, not the images, not the elements. Actually, you can see if that works. So let's add, let's say, one of these blocks of content. And let's say, I'll just add something here. And oh, you can choose a background color. Great. So now let's see if I can just copy. I use Ctrl+C, and then in the English about section, I'll try pasting. Well, it works. So here I'll just, actually I should have done something like this. And basically this could be a better workaround than, let's say, having a subdomain or another domain where you have where you publish a separate website in a different language, a separate Google website, and then you have like a button or a link from this website to the other, and then from the other to this one. If this was, let's say, in Bulgarian, and the other side on the different domain was in English. But in that case, although it would look more professional, you probably want to you need to uh, open two different website files, Google site files to edit, and you need to purchase a separate domain. So that would be too much trouble for what you eventually get. Now, the thing about sections, now that we talked about sections here, that we mentioned them, it's very interesting because the difference between a section and a page is that if you click on a section, it takes you to no page. It's just really a section, like a separator. So you see, I cannot open any link by clicking on Bulgarski or English or Portuguese, right? But I can if I click on a sub item. Now, this is how it will look like if the website is open on a mobile phone or a tablet. So it's also not too bad, as you can see. Even if you just have the three bar menu, it doesn't look too bad. I think people can navigate easily as long as you don't have too many sub items, as long as it doesn't become a maze of a menu. Right? So you can actually have the same result. If you'd like each one of these sections to actually be a separate landing page for the corresponding language, well, you basically use a page instead of a section. So here you add a new page. You can say right, and now you can add sub pages, and they'll look exactly the same. Let's say, sure if this is correct in Spanish, but let's say it is. And now you see, it does work like a landing page now for that language, or not exactly like a landing page, unless you say that there's going to be a home page by using the three dots. But I'm not sure if the structure. No, I think it will break the structure then, and it will look like this. Oh no, it works. Oh, it works wonderfully. Okay, so I thought it would just kill it in the sense that it would uh, break the hierarchy of pages here. It would just take Galeria out of uh, Espanol. Well, so if you'd like, for instance, English to be your home page, because you work mainly with English-speaking customers or visitors to your page, well, then it's simple. Instead of using a section, and you can see that the icon for a section are these two windows, you just use a page like we did with Espanol, and then you make sure that the page is set as your home page. Here it is the first item on the three dot menu, right? So the advantage of this is really not needing a separate website, but then it depends on your, and probably easier to manage the content, but then it depends on your needs and whether you aesthetically like this idea. You can always send suggestions to Google to somehow implement at least a bilingual template for your website, because this is a huge issue for some small to medium size companies. When I worked as a Google Workspace support agent, some customers would request a feature that would allow them to easily have two languages on the Google website, and we just have to discuss some workarounds instead. And I'm sure that it wouldn't be too hard for Google to implement such a feature, but they need to understand that customers need it in the first place. So you'd probably want to send feature requests to the feature request space, I suppose, or just Google, and perhaps you'll find a way to. Right? Here you have it for Google Workspace, because actually Google Workspace is where you pay to have Google Apps and store it and more storage in the cloud. So perhaps, yes, here are the steps that you could take to send a feature and say, hey, I'd like an easy way to have my Google site be in two or more languages, right? Well, I hope this helps. Bye.